Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. News is a little bit slow right now, of course, being at this stage in the off season. We are about a month and a half away from preseason, so not a lot's happening right now, just a lot of RFA stuff and arbitration. So I thought that we could go over maybe some other stuff in the league right now and catch up on what's going on there. So today we're going to look at the top 5 free agent signings in terms of value. And now these might not necessarily be the best free agents that were available, but they are the best value for what they signed for. So contract wise is what I mean, and production value for the team that signed them. So today we're going to go through that, and I do have a video coming out in a couple days with the worst free agent signings from free agency, and there were quite a few of those, so stay tuned for that. But for right now, let's get on into this video. So in no particular order, we're going to start with number 5, Dylan Strome. As one of the better free agency signings, I think, in free agency. He wasn't tendered by Chicago. His qualifying offer wasn't offered to him, so he did hit UFA status. He is a 25-year-old centerman, which you don't see a lot of 25-year-old centermen with the pedigree that Dylan Strome has. You don't see a lot of those guys hit free agency. I'm shocked that Chicago didn't qualify him and then try to trade him later. Maybe they couldn't trade him for whatever reason, I don't know. But he signed a 1-year, $3.5 million deal with the Washington Capitals, and he's a big guy too. He's 6'3", 200 pounds, plays center, big down the middle is important. So I really do think that alone is incredible deal. Only $3.5 million, maybe a little bit of a prove-it deal. It's not a long-term deal, and he can choose whether he wants to go back to the Caps next year or if he wants to test free agency again. But 69 games played, 22 goals, 26 assists for 48 points on a not very good Chicago team a year ago. I do think that, hey, you pair Dylan Strome with anybody on that Washington team, and you've got a dangerous guy there. I mean, without Nick Backstrom playing right now, maybe he gets a shot with Ovi. I'm assuming that would be more of a Kuznetsov role, but with Backstrom out, I do see Strome as the fill-in, obviously. And I mean, he's kind of like a Nick Backstrom light, maybe a poor man's Nick Backstrom. But whoever you play him with, I think he's going to be great, whether that's Ovi or other players on that team. I think he's going to make them better. He's an incredible playmaker as well as a good scorer, obviously. 22 goal season and 48 points. And I mean, they traded for Connor Brown for a second-round pick from Ottawa. So they do have a very good roster. They got a lot of fun players on that team. We'll see what happens this upcoming season, but I do expect him to be a big part of Washington this season. Moving on to the next one here, we've got Rudolfs BALCERS, formerly from the San Jose Sharks before he was put on waivers. No one claimed him on waivers, which I thought was wild. He only had a year left at around $1.3 million, I believe, and no one claimed him. So I thought that was really strange. I was really hoping the Jets would get him, being a Jets fan. I am a big Rudolfs BALCERS fan, and he's got a little bit of a bite to him too as well. As we've been playing the Sharks, Jets have been playing the Sharks, I've noticed him out there, and I really liked his game. But he ends up signing in Florida for 1 year at league minimum, $750,000, not even a mil, for a guy that played 61 games, 11 goals, 12 assists for 23 points. He's a decent defensive player as well, but an awesome secondary scoring option. I'm just shocked that he signed for this much. I think he could have got more. Maybe he signed for less to go to Florida. I don't know. Maybe he just liked that it was a contender. He's been playing for some pretty bad teams throughout his career, as he was on Ottawa before that. I'm not sure if he played in any games for Ottawa or if he was still a prospect at that point. I can't remember. But really good player for the Sharks. And then, hey, winds up on the Florida Panthers, and I'm sure that he will have a fantastic season. He is a really fun player. He's quick too. And I mean, hey, if he plays a full season, he might be a 30-40 point guy, and this contract will look like a steal. He might be making a lot more next offseason if he does hit free agency. Next up here, we have John Klingberg, formerly from the Dallas Stars. Many thought that he was going to get a big payday for long term. He was hoping for maybe a 6 or 7 year deal from Dallas or from anybody in free agency, but he waited and eventually his market dried up, and I don't know, things must have gotten pretty quiet with John because he signed a 1-year deal with Anaheim for $7 million. He's a 29-year-old right-handed defenseman, 6'3", 190, power play specialist. He's got 6 goals, 41 assists for 47 points in 74 games. He's a defenseman that is really good at moving the puck, fantastic on the power play quarterback, and he is a great fit for the Ducks. I don't know if the Ducks are ready to compete quite yet. Maybe they will be able to sneak in if they have a similar year to last year. They did bring in some reinforcements this season, obviously, and their prospects are just a year older, but this takes a lot of pressure off of guys like Jamie Drysdale. He won't have to be on power play 1 right away, and he won't have to be in a top 2 role. Losing Hampus Lindholm kind of pushed Draisaitl into that top pairing role, and now he won't have to be forced to do that now. With John Klingberg, he can come in for a year. He can kind of just show Drysdale the ropes. They're a little bit similar. I think Drysdale will be better than Klingberg in the future as his career progresses. But for right now, this is a fantastic signing. A veteran defenseman at 29 years old to come in and show Drysdale the ropes, let him grow for another year until he's truly ready to grasp that top 2 role. I really like it. And assuming that the Ducks aren't going to be in a comfortable playoff position, I can see them trying to flip John Klingberg at the deadline. And you saw what guys like Ben Sherratt got last year. They got a 1, a 3, and a prospect. The Panthers traded for Ben Sherratt from Montreal, and it was just wild. I couldn't believe that Ben Sherratt went for that much. But teams do value their size in the playoffs. He didn't play very well, and it was a big letdown for Florida. But now, if Anaheim can get a decent half year out of John Klingberg, just imagine what they can get at the trade deadline if they aren't competitive. You're looking at a first-round pick, a prospect, and probably a second or a third. This is a fantastic pickup for Anaheim. You can't really lose. The only way that this could suck is if he does get injured and maybe his value drops. But that's about it. The Ducks, fantastic pickup, and this was, I think, my favorite pickup for any team in free agency. This was big. Now we move on to Danton Heinen, who was with Pittsburgh last season. He's re-signed there for 1 year, $1 million deal. 27 years old, 6'1", 188, and he plays the wing. 76 games played, 18 goals, 15 assists for 33 points with the Penguins last season. Now you look at this and you're like, wow, 33 points. How did he only get paid $1 million? Well, there was a lot of teams going for Danton Heinen this offseason. The Jets were one of them. I was really hoping the Jets would get him. I'm a big fan of Heinen, but he signs back in Pittsburgh for $1 million for 1 year. And, you can't blame the guy. Obviously, he loved playing in Pittsburgh, or he wouldn't have signed this deal. Pittsburgh didn't have a lot of cap, so they had to give him a lower balled deal. But he signs it, and this is incredible value for Pittsburgh. This is a guy that is capable of maybe 30 to 40 point season, depending on where he plays in the lineup. But if he gets 18 goals again, maybe he gets 20, I think he's going to get paid next offseason. Maybe when the cap goes up a little bit, some teams will feel more comfortable dropping some money on him. But fantastic deal for Pittsburgh. I can't believe he signed for only $1 million, but it just shows what good teams with winning pedigrees who are driven to win now, and how that can influence a player to sign there for less money. Fantastic deal, Pittsburgh. This was one of the better ones in my opinion. And the last deal that I'm going to talk about today in this video is the NINO NIEDERREITER deal with the Nashville Predators. He signed for 2 years at $4 million a season, so 2 years, $8 million. 29 years old, 6'2", 218, he's a right winger, and playing with Carolina last year, he had 75 games played for 24 goals, 20 assists, and 44 points. Niederreiter's one of those guys that can really do it all. Swiss Army knife guy, he can bury the puck, he can dish it out, he's a really good just a physical player. He's really good in his own end, in the offensive end. He's tough on pucks. He's a bigger guy. He can go in the corners. He's just all around awesome player and the ideal middle six player, and he fits Nashville perfectly. Nashville is a little bit of a heavier team, a little bit more of a veteran team, and I can't think of a better fit than Nino Niederreiter. I think he's going to fit like a glove there. There haven't been a ton of super long contracts this free agency, so I think a 2-year deal for $4 million per season for Nashville is perfect. It's such a good deal for them. If it doesn't work out, hey, next season you can move him if you want at the deadline or in the off season. But if he does work out, hey, you've got 2 years of a quality player, and for a team that I think is going to start trying to load up and start to win now, I think that NIEDERREITER is perfect and one of the better signings this offseason for sure. So those have been 5 of my favorite deals signed in the offseason in free agency. Do you guys like the deals that I put up, or do you think maybe they weren't the best? Let me know. And who do you think had the best deal in the offseason? Who do you think stole a player? Who do you think is going to get amazing value out of whoever they signed? Let me know in the comments down below. I will have part 2 to this with the worst contracts coming up in a few days, so keep a lookout for that. And until then, guys, have a great day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.